How's it going, everyone? My name is George, and today we are going to be reviewing the next film in the Askewniverse slash Kevin Smith review series, which is Clerks 2. We have gotten to this point of the Askewniverse review series. And this film came out in 2006, once again directed by Kevin Smith, and once again stars Brian O'Halloran, Jeff Anderson, Jason Mewes, and Kevin Smith as Dante Randall, Jay and Silent Bob, as well as some newcomers and Rosario Dawson as Becky and Trevor Fearman as Elias. And this film takes place 10 years after the events of the first Clerks film, and the quick stop has been burnt down, so Dante and Randall now work at movies, and Dante feels like he's ready to start his life. He is engaged, he is moving down to Florida with his fiance, and thinks he is ready to move away from New Jersey and start a new life. But like the first Clerks film, he has a really rough day at work. A lot of bizarre, crappy things happen. So before I saw Clerks 2, I had seen all the other Askewniverse films that came out before it, and I heard a lot of things about Clerks 2. A lot of people either love this film or they don't like this film. So it came across to me as a mixed bag film. And the first time I watched Clerks 2 was actually last year. I'd seen the other movies from Kevin Smith already. I'd seen them a few more times than I had seen Clerks. So I was, well, Clerks 2. So I was wondering what is up with this film. And honestly, I had a blast with this film. To me, this is one of the funniest sequels to a comedy. And this film never gets dull. Like, even after the first time I rewatched it, when I rewatched it the second time, I was like, oh, it's not gonna hold up as well. I'm just caught in the moment. But no, that those scenes are still funny, and it gets funnier every time I rewatch this film. To me, Clerks 2 is one of the best comedy sequels, and it shows that Kevin Smith, at least in the mid 2000s, did not lose his touch with the Askewniverse. To me, he is at his best when he uses the Clerks characters, particularly Dante and Randall, his originals. Brian O'Halloran and Jeff Anderson, they're still hilarious and great as Dante and Randall. Obviously, Jay and Silent Bob, Jason Mewes, and Kevin Smith are once again hilarious as these characters. Rosario Dawson as Becky, Dante and Randall's boss, who Dante is growing to have feelings for, and she's starting to have feelings for him. She's great in this film as well. I love the chemistry between Rosario Dawson and Brian O'Halloran. Trevor Fearman as Elias, a new co-worker of Dante and Randall's. He's this young adult who's a born again Christian. He's very funny as well. The way like Trevor Fearman like has these like awkward mannerisms that are presented in this film, he does a very good job. To me, his performance does not get talked about enough in this film, and it's also great to see other familiar faces in very small roles like Ben Affleck and Jason Lee, guys who have been in Kevin Smith's other previous works. Uh, kind of like the first Clerks film, this movie is in, for the most part, in one setting. So I like that they're going back to the more simple roots with this film. Um, Kind of similar to Mallrats and Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back, there is a lot of humor, but also like Clerks and Chasing Amy, there's also a coherent story that I feel like is being told, which is basically Dante is ready to move on to the next stage of his life, and Randall doesn't know how to handle that. Dante might have feelings for his boss. She might have feelings for him. And Randall wants to do something special. Like, stuff is happening in this film. Like, and there is a heartfelt moment at the end of this film, which we'll get into later on. They utilize quite a few songs in his head. Raindrops keep falling on my head. At one point, they utilized King Diamond. That's how I discovered King Diamond through this movie. I was like, oh wow, this is very extreme music. Which I actually did a reel on Instagram with that scene where Randall and Jay are like singing King Diamond to Elias freaking him out. Um, Speaking of the humor, this is humor that basically probably would not fly today. This film came out in the mid 2000s, 2006, and literally some of the jokes in this film, like I don't know how they're gonna do Clerks 3 because it's like it feels like this is like the highest that we're gonna get with a Skewniverse humor. Like for example, that scene, like there's so many scenes that are so hilarious, but when it passed by today, the Kinky Kelly scene, So like Randall wants to do something special for Dante for his last night in New Jersey, and we get the Kinky Kelly show, and there's some build up to it. There's a setup and build up to it, and when we finally see it, we're like, oh, so that's who Kelly is, and it's so bizarre. And I was worried like this is what's gonna ruin the film, but between that happening, Dante and Becky like having their heart to heart, Elias getting hammered, Dante's fiance like realizing that that he was cheating on her, like all this stuff is happening, and Jay and Silent Bob, oddly enough, are like the most sane ones throughout this scene. Like scenes like this, like you will never see in comedy movies today, probably. And there's also other funny scenes that are not as bizarre and crazy. For example, there's a Star Wars Lord of the Rings debate in one scene. And what's funny is I'm a huge fan of both of them, so I'm not really taking a side, but just hearing the like arguments about them, it's just so hilarious to me. And also Elias, the awkward kid, he's a big Transformers fan, and this film came out in 2006, so it was filmed in 2005, and around this time they announced Transformers movie, and we know that we had gotten now we have 5 Michael Bay live action Transformers movies, and now it's just like, oh man, Elias, he's so excited, but he's not gonna know what how these movies turn out. I mean, I love the first Transformers movie. I like the third one. The second one's a guilty pleasure, but let's be honest, the Transformer movies aren't all that great. And Elias, he's gonna be disappointed. I wonder if they're gonna explore that in Clerks 3, like how Elias reacted when he saw what the live action Transformer movies really turned out to be like. Like I really hope they go into that in Clerks 3. But yeah, that's another funny scene right there. All in all with this film, it's just very hilarious. And the ending to me is one of the more emotional endings for any Kevin Smith film, especially since Chasing Amy, in my opinion. So like after the stuff with Kinky Kelly, Dante and Randall, like they have a fight kind of similar to the first film, but in this film, Randall's opening up about how much he misses working at the Quick Stop, how much like Dante leaving him really hurts him, and opens up about how he wants to restart the Quick Stop, and really it just tells a message that even if something may not seem the most fulfilling to other people, it's fulfilling to you and other people. And we really see how working at the Quick Stop would be fulfilling for Randall. And Dante, he's conflicted, and then he realizes that it would be fulfilling for him. And then you have the ending montage where they buy the Quick Stop, they're rebuilding the Quick Stop. Dante realizes it's Becky he wants to spend the rest of his life with. He proposes to her, and she accepts it, and they're rebuilding the Quick Stop. And then you have that ending shot of the new Quick Stop, and basically it like turning to black and white. And really, to me, this is probably would be the perfect ending for the Universe series. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I haven't seen Jay and Silent Bob reboot yet. Right before I review that film, that's gonna be the first time I'm gonna see that movie. So I'll be reviewing it, watching it for the first time. But I've heard even more mixed stuff about that film compared to the previous Jay and Silent Bob film and Mallrats. But I also know, some people they thought Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back should have been the official ending to the universe. But really, it feels like if this was the ending, as excited as I am to see Clerks 3, and I love that trailer for it, if this had been the ending, I felt like this would have been a perfect ending for the universe, or even for that corner of the universe, the Clerks franchise. But I am excited to see Clerks 3. I am looking forward to finally watching Jay and Silent Bob reboot and sharing my thoughts on that film. But yeah, all in all, Clerks 2, one of my favorite all time comedy sequels. Probably one of the more underrated films. I It's not as good as the first Clerks film. To me, this kind of like it's kind of how I feel about the first two Home Alone movies. The first film is phenomenal, and then the second film, it's not as good as the first film, but it's a lot more funny than the previous film. But with Clerks 2, the 2, it feels like the story they try to at least do some different stuff with the film where Home Alone 2 Lost in New York, it feels very similar to the first Home Alone film, except it takes place in New York. So like with Clerks 2, I also appreciate that they also did some things different with this film compared to the first movie. All in all, I'm gonna give Clerks 2 an A, and I highly recommend you check it out if you haven't already. In fact, I highly recommend you check out all the Askew Universe movies if you haven't already. And also, I on my Instagram, I did this reel where I tried doing a parody of that scene where Randall and Jay are going after Elias. Elias, it's after the Transformers scene thing, and I'm kind of parodying it, singing some lines from that King Diamond song with Grandma in it. So I'm gonna put the link in the description down below if you want to see that. I want to do more reels on my Instagram to help promote my videos, so please check that out if you haven't already. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, you can do that as well. And I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe already if you haven't. Please share this with someone that likes the Askew Universe films and the Clerks movies. And also, before I go, in the comments, what did you think about Clerks 2? Do you love it? Did you hate it? And what do you prefer more, Clerks or Clerks 2? I love both, but Clerks is one of my all-time favorite movies ever, so I'm going to go with the first Clerks film. In the meantime, guys, take care, everyone.